Today I'm going to talk about business models. And right out of the gates, we need to differentiate business models from business plans, something that you might be familiar with. The biggest difference is that a business model is a dynamic tool, whereas a business plan tends to be a static document. If we've created a business plan, we know why that is. It takes sometimes months of time and a lot of effort, and so we're reluctant to make changes in our business plans. The business model, on the other hand, is intended to be changed. It's a highly dynamic tool that we use to talk about and design our businesses. So let's talk through what the fundamental aspects of a business model are. Before we do that, though, one of the interesting things about talking about business models is that historically there hasn't been a shared language for understanding what a business model is. If we were to poll everybody who's ever seen this video and ask them to define a business model, we would get a lot of answers that are largely correct, but they would also be largely different, which makes talking about business models kind of difficult. What we've needed, as I said, is a shared language, and we actually have that now in something called the Osterwalder Business Model Canvas. So the Osterwalder Canvas is developed by a researcher named Alex Osterwalder, and it has the 9 fundamental building blocks for any business. This describes how a business creates, captures, and delivers value for its customers. The 9 fundamental building blocks are as follows. Before I go through each one, I want to actually show that there's a front stage and a back stage of a business model canvas. The front stage is everything to the right of the blue dotted line that you see there. The front stage are those elements of a business model that the customers will have some interaction with. The backstage are everything to the left of the blue dotted line, and these are the things that are kind of behind the scenes that makes the business work. So let's walk through each of the elements of a business model canvas. The first 2 that you have to get right. You have to get these right because if these aren't right, it doesn't really matter what you put in any of the other blocks, are customer segments and value propositions. The customer segments are kind of like what you might be thinking. These are your customers, but you want to be really specific here. It is often the case that you have unique customer archetypes, right? These are distinct definitions of customers that are different from one another. They're different mainly because they like a different value proposition. It isn't usually the case that you have a single value proposition for all of the different customer segments that you might cater to. So let's talk about the value proposition. This is what you're delivering to your customer. These are the pain relievers or the gain creators or the ways you enable those customer segments to get jobs done. Right? There's a one-to-one relationship between these 2 blocks of the business model canvas. You want to always have a distinct value proposition for a specific customer segment. So always keep that in mind when you're articulating your business model canvas. As we move through the front stage, now we want to talk about the distribution channels. This is the way that your value proposition reaches your customer segment. Do you deliver your value largely through an online website? Or is this face-to-face, right? What are the ways that your value proposition reaches your customer segments? Next, you want to think about what the customer relationship is with those customers. Is it a concierge type relationship or is it largely hands-off, right? Is this a Swiss bank or is it Amazon, right? We need to think about the nature of the relationship that we're going to have with our customer segments. We also want to think through in this block, how do we get, keep, and grow customers? What are the different strategies that we use there? And then finally, on the front stage, we need to talk about the revenue streams, right? These are the ways that we capture value. These are the things that we charge for within our business model. It also might be the case that you have different revenue streams for different customer segments, right? An example that we're probably all familiar with is Google. For the Google business model, there are a number of different customer segments. We are one, right? We are users. As a customer segment, we get to use the Google platform, whether that's their internet search or their web products like Gmail and other things like that. But for the most part, we don't pay for those products. even though we are a key customer segment. That's because there's another customer segment for Google, which are advertisers. Advertisers, the value proposition for them are lots of people, right? Eyeballs. And so the revenue stream in that example is from the advertisers. There's no revenue collected from the key users that Google has in that case. So in the revenue streams, you're thinking about the ways that you're capturing value from the different customer segments, and you need to think through what is the value that they're actually paying for. The key things you're thinking about in the revenue streams are the model, and this is where you're thinking about things like, is it a subscription, or is it a one-time sale, is it a rental? And you're also thinking then about the tactic. This is the magnitude, right? How much are you asking for these subscriptions, or the one-time sale, or the rental, or the license fee? So that's revenue streams, and that then fills out the customer-facing side of the business model canvas, the front stage. We still need to talk about the backstage, though. These are the things behind the scenes that make your business model possible. So you've got key partners, key activities, key resources, and then you've got cost structure, the last element of the model. Key partners represent the idea that you're most often not going to deliver the entire value proposition. Let's say that one of your distribution channels is a shipping partner. They would actually go in the key partner section of the business model canvas. If UPS is essential to your model working, then you need to list them in your business model. They're a key partner. Key activities are those things that you have to do to pull off the business model. These are the essential activities that you do, and maybe those are things like if you're a coffee company, then your relationships that you have with your supply chain are really important key activities. You need to negotiate for the lowest possible coffee bean rate that you can. That's a key activity, and that's ongoing. Maybe a key activity for a different kind of business is research and development. If your value proposition is putting out products that your users find useful and solve problems, you might need to continuously iterate on the products that you've developed. The key resources are those things that are essential to your business operating. So a lot of times this is intellectual property. So you might have IP that makes it really hard for someone else to develop a product that's similar to yours. Oftentimes the key resources of a company, of a business, are their employees. So here you list the different kinds of employees that are the key resources to pull off your value proposition. It might be that you have employees that have a very specific skill set that makes it really hard to do the work that you do without having that on your team. And then finally, you've got the cost structure. Here you're articulating the most expensive, important aspects of your business model. A hint here that it's often your employees or the core technology of the business. So think about what are the big expenses related to moving this business model forward. So those are the front stage and the back stage of a business model. It's of note here that you can use a business model to describe a new venture that's a napkin sketch idea, as well as a Fortune 500 company. This is not size dependent. You can use this model to describe any type of business. One of the things that I want to make sure that we know, if we are thinking about using the business model canvas for a new venture, so maybe we are thinking about pivoting and we want to start a new venture that's an iteration on something that we've already done. Or maybe this is a napkin sketch idea. We need to come to grips with the fact that when we first fill out a business model canvas, it's most likely the case that we have a lot of guesses about the components of the business model, right? It's our job to move from guesses to facts. So how can we do that? How can we validate those assumptions that we've made about the model? And where we're incorrect, make new assumptions and then validate those. What we're doing when we're moving from guesses to facts is searching for a business model that actually works. We want to find a sustainable and profitable model that we can hopefully scale. The way we do that is through looking at all the different permutations of the business model canvas blocks, and we're validating and invalidating assumptions that we've done, that we've made. The approach that we use to validate those assumptions using the business model canvas is something called customer development. There are 4 stages of the customer development process, and they're really broken into 2 main components. Customer discovery and customer validation are part of the search phase of customer development. And then customer creation and customer building are part of the scale phase of customer development. One of the most often failure modes of startups is that they think they're in the scale mode of customer development when they are actually in the search mode of customer development. But that's going to be the subject of a different video. For now, we want to just give you an overview of the business model canvas and hope that's helpful to you as you think about the 9 fundamental building blocks of your business venture. Good luck.